Hello, good evening. This is very close to the time when I end my day and I go to bed. But I decided to spend just a few minutes. This video is not about Twitter. This video is rather without the consultation of any references to express a few of my observations. Now, I could have made this video by using certain references, and initially I had thought that this is what I would do. However, I decided against it. I wanted this to be spontaneous, impromptu, and not dictated by any kind of scripted material. Well, even when I make a video, when I use references, I make it a point to be actively thinking. So I'm not passively reading and not applying my mind to understanding. I apply my mind to understanding every single word that I come across. However, in this case, all you see is my Twitter profile, because as I mentioned, this video is, though it's not about Twitter, it is about perceptions, and perceptions as they relate to social networking. I'm taking the example of Twitter because of its uniqueness. So after that 2.5 minute introduction, and not knowing how long this video is going to be, maybe this will be very short, what I want to state as simply as possible is this. Emotions determine perceptions. For the vast majority of people on this or other social networks, it is emotions that determine perceptions. And it would be the very rare individual, something more than human, to be unaffected by emotions. Because emotions in themselves are affected by so many factors. Emotions could be affected by the food one eats. Emotions could be affected by what one drinks. Anywhere from plain water that quenches the thirst, and definitely what most people would be familiar with, tea or coffee, some kind of fruit juice, especially if it has added sugars, alcohol, of course. So you are familiar with these examples. But apart from the physiological connection of what one eats and emotions, there are, of course, other factors. One's physical constitution, how one is built, that relates to genetics. and lifestyle. But the other thing I want to mention, apart from going beyond that which is physical, the circumstances in one's life, the environment one lives in. You see, when people come on a social network and they say something, it is not only what they're saying in that moment. If that is the case, somebody can be very focused and unaffected by other considerations. That is very good. However, given the human condition, the sufferings an individual is going through, or those that person is related to, friends, family, neighbors, whoever are the close connections. And on a social network, connections are of great significance because how one is feeling, in other words, emotions that affect perceptions, could change very quickly based on who that person is connected to. And the more closely one is connected to that person or persons, the more pronounced the effect on emotions and thereby the effect on perceptions. So the nature of social networking is that it is an interaction mostly with strangers. Everybody is a stranger. Everyone is a stranger. And why is that? That is because no matter how much you think you know another person, you're always informed only marginally or only temporarily or only in a limited way about the given emotional state of that person at that given time. Some strangers become more familiar because you get to understand or you get to know their patterns of thinking or you get to know their circumstances in life over a period of time. However, even then, at that given time, when an interaction happens, and chances are a lot of interactions happen very spontaneously. That is one of the great drawbacks of interactions on a social network because one doesn't know how much of an effort a person has made to deliberately, conscientiously reach a conclusion, given the ability of that person. But the response comes back a lot of the times with a minimum effort to understand. there is a keenness to respond. And whether that response is proportionate and specific, respectful, considerate, I think the screen went blank because I was doing nothing. Coming back. Thoughtful, all those things have to be in your own personality to be able to do that. But when you interact with a lot of people, then that even if you are greatly able in a godlike way to exhibit those qualities, and not only exhibit but to apply those qualities, because by a great moral strength you have those qualities in you, still tiredness and being affected or overwhelmed by other considerations and pressures have a bearing. I'll take you down in my timeline because I have done something which relates to everything that I'm saying. So I'll show you a couple of instances and you will get the context. So on January 7, 2020, I left this message and I've pinned this tweet again to my profile. It says, "Hello," and there's a rose. "In the foreseeable future, my pursuits require focused effort. To that end, I will be absent for uncertain lengths of time in 2020. Those absences will be extended to sustain stillness of mind, heart, and spirit. So I'm leaving you all this." And there's a link here, and that links to my website, to the HTML sitemap, where you have all the links from my website. Somehow, this message had disappeared. This picture is what I left. Now it's showing again. And this was in a message, an audio message that I had left. Just about half a minute long message. And no one has responded to it. I'm kind of glad that is the case. But this was in line with the pinned tweet. So, in order to achieve some things which I'm working on, it is necessary to eliminate distractions. And because what I'm trying to do is such that social networking is a distraction, I have, for the last many days, completely broken off contact on Twitter and all other social networks. Well, actually, I interact exclusively on Twitter. I don't use other networks to interact so much. In fact, not at all. So it is my privilege in life that I could make such a decision and not be disturbed after that. I'm going to continue with that decision because some things have become a lot clearer in the last few days. and there are positive changes that I'm very happy with. Now, what those changes are and what the implications of that would be, I would most likely share at a much later time, because some of those things could happen within days and weeks, but some of the other pursuits will require years of effort. That is my honest anticipation, that it would require years of effort. And I find myself thankful and fortunate, from what I can understand, in that it is clear to me what my pursuits should be over the coming few years that will give direction to my life henceforth. This is where I would end this video, and I do hope to see you at some other time. And maybe we will even interact. But for now, this is it. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. And take care.